Get into our discussion for the morning now. Many countries have restricted travel from the United Kingdom over a new strain of the coronavirus, which is fast spreading. Now, the federal government says it may impose a travel ban to and from certain parts of the world as concerns over the new uncontrollable strain of coronavirus grows. Now, Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, disclosed this on Monday in Abuja. And the minister recognizes that many students are coming from the UK in particular to come in and join their families in Nigeria. He said that many Nigerians also, because of the traditional link between the UK and Nigeria, may want to go there for business or family reunion. Alhaji Mohammed said that the federal government will not hesitate in restricting such movements if it is the only way Nigerians can be protected from the agony of the new variant of COVID-19. That's part of our discussion this morning. And joining me in the studio is First Vice President, West African College of Nurses, Shola Aketi. It's nice to have you join us in the studio.
Good morning, sir.
Great. And we also have the CEO, Health Emergency Initiative, Pascal Achinine. Pascal, good morning.
Thank you for having me.
Nice to see you.
It's my pleasure.
Great. All right, let me start with Shola here. We've been talking about this, so let me start with Shola this time around. Well, Shola, the point is, the new variant seemed to, the way we hear on the news, how there's a new variant of coronavirus in parts of the country, especially in the UK and other parts of Europe, it seemed like there is some kind of fresh anxiety in the minds of people, especially in Africa and then maybe in Nigeria. You are in the health, you would have gotten more information. Talk to us about this. Should we be so scared or should we be as relaxed as we've always been? No cause for alarm.
As a matter of fact, we should not be scared.
Okay.
This is the best time for us to take the root by the horn. Everybody should be an expert, a check expert to him or herself. I said it because the last presentation was one of the reasons why we have the high indices. Our border was suddenly open because they wanted some of their members, or family members, to come in that time. And we were able to see the increase precisely August till early September. The high rate of the higher indices was as a result of our people that came in during that period. So this is the time for everybody to keep watch of him or herself and the immediate family. It's only when you are alive you can remember the family. It's only when you are alive you can consider other factors or some pending issues. So how do you keep yourself alive? Number one, the protocol have been laid down. So refrain from unnecessary social gathering. Protocol, wearing of face mask. The index cases rose to a high level in Gambia, precisely August, September. And so we have to intervene because West African College of Nursing will take care of 8 countries. Nigeria, Ghana, Liberia, Sierra Leone, Cameroon, Burkina Faso. But we were given the report from Gambia. And we found out that they are not keeping to wearing the face mask, hand washing, and the normal
the coughing into the elbow.
So they find it difficult to comply. So we have to tell the stakeholders that please, for you to get out of this problem, more especially when they find out you are talking to them from Nigeria, the epicenter, most especially when they find out you are talking to them from Lagos.
Okay.
Once they
that makes
Lagos,
a difference, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay.
They believe that those people that are talking to them concerning the measures to be adopted, they have experience. Okay. And they should be able to leave it at the board. And so we are able to tell them, keep to this. In fact, their government have to legalize it with punitive measures. That if you don't go out with your face mask, and before we know it, the next 1 month, everything started coming to normalcy. You know, they have a little population. And so
it was easier to manage.
It was easier to manage.
Okay.
So Nigeria being a vast population, so to say, the vast of cultures, it's expedient of us to go back to our drawing board. Keep to those protocols. Wash. If you can't get the water and soap, as we believe might not be available, your sanitizer should be available. Okay. That's how I mind this.
Oh, yeah.
And again,
Pascal has his own too.
Yeah. You should be able to maintain 1 meter, at least 1 meter away from one another. I came with my mask, but because of the 1 meter, I was able to keep myself safe. At the same time, report immediately any unexpected But surprisingly, majority of these clients, or the so-called, they are asymptomatic.
Okay.
If you look at the trend of events now,
Does that make it more dangerous?
very, very.
Okay.
The high rising was traceable to NIM. People queue up to get their NIM done. Social gathering. And they are not even observing those protocols. So we have that spike. Go and check it. But if you are kept to the normal protocol that we have been exposed to, we won't have that.
Okay.
And again, we have people coming in. Oh, this is Christmas time.
Exactly.
And
No,
that's
in
another
fact, we're
problem.
going to talk about that. So we'll talk about that Christmas part of it as we get along. Now, Pascal, Shola was saying that there is no cause for alarm. That is the same message from the World Health Organization. It's the same message from the NCDC, the same message from the Ministry of Health, the same message from the Ministry of Information. All agencies are saying we don't need to panic and all of that. But not panicking, isn't that one of the reasons why people are so nonchalant and people are so relaxed that when you talk about faith, like she's saying, use a face mask, everybody said there's no need to panic. So why don't we just relax? Isn't that, if we flip the coin, isn't that contradictory somehow?
The no cause for alarm message must be backed with specific action that gives comfort. If we are not testing enough, and we say no cause for alarm, and there's an explosion, it spikes suddenly. Then
so the no cause for alarm, is that meant to ensure that people don't panic?
Psychologically, it is a good way to, because if you approach any issue with a defeatist mindset, you may not be able to think right, even to find a solution. So it is right to say no cause for alarm, but it will be accompanied with some action. And part of the action is that almost every country now has seen that the variant from UK is negative, is ferocious. And they have taken,
and it's spreading so fast
because they don't have control about it, as to say, based on the words of the Prime Minister. So the best time to have done what other countries did should have been yesterday. The next best time is today for national interest. As she said, just to reinforce what she said, I know many are wishing for their children and families to come back. But how about in the event that they are coming symptomatic and that very ferocious one comes into the system? UK has a better process of tracking and data gathering and management. We do not, right now, even the 356 that we are, that tested positive yesterday based on results, how are we certain that the number of people tested represent 5% of those who ought to be tested? Typically, at this stage, one of the quick wins is to have the rapid test activated across board, so that if there is a trace of positive result, you can now go for this PCR. The PCR is more detailed, but we should have it accessible almost at every nook and cranny where people can go for the rapid test. So again, I go back. She showed that we are having this, we are conscious of this.
As a hand
communication. So they were able to achieve a great mileage in Gambia when they communicated, and the people trusted those who came to give the message. And perhaps coming from West African College of Nursing is a very credible institution. So, and I come back to the fact that many Nigerians feel that they are being scammed whenever you talk about coronavirus. And so we must identify institutions that have similar profile that could communicate and making sure that the message goes both horizontally and vertically in such a way that people who typically may not have access to smartphone or television and all that, there are ways of reaching them. And this, because those are the ones who constitute the fast spreaders. Go to the market, those are locations fast spreader, and we are in the Christmas, so this is a time that
let me bring Shola into the discussion now, because that Christmas equation. Now, the point is, culturally, our people are very good with greeting. And there's the greeting with the handshake or greeting with the touching of your shoulder and all of that, greeting with a hug is a very common thing with not just Africans, but there's something about Nigerians that greeting, there has to be that, how challenging is that in this, how is that compounding the issues of COVID-19? Let me put it that way. right now? Because you're telling people not to become as cultural as they used to be because of the health concern. How are you seeing that?
The awareness of COVID-19 is global. The mitigating factors, they are global too. In fact, if you get to the exteriors, you find out that they said this, so they are aware of what is happening.
Some level of consciousness is setting in.
And you don't divide a man or a woman from his or her culture. Culture is dynamic. But the era we are now, the new innovation, I would call it, innovation in terms of how to live, is that you should keep distance. For anyone you are greeting with your elbow or with your leg, is an indication that this is the situation on ground.
That's the norm now.
And if you're going to greet whosoever a distance of 2 meters away or 1 meter minimum, you can kneel down and say, "Good morning, ma," or "Good morning, sir." It's still acceptable. Well, primarily, we should be able to let them know that this is not the time to hug the elderly ones. Like, it's a new strain. And why is it getting closer, or we're having high rate of death? It's because the majority of our people, they have comorbidity. Diabetes, mellitus, hypertension, which is known with the elderly. And so majority of these elderly, they are carrying something unknown to them, or they are managing it effectively. Majority of retirees get to most of our facilities. Very early in the morning, they are there because they wanted to be checked and to maintain health. But further that, in the course of greeting them, even dropping something during Christmas should be with caution. Most of our products on our shelf at our supermarkets, the area we don't even concentrate, we do find out that majority of them, they are carrying this.
Because of constant touching and touching and touching and touching.
Your sanitizer is a good way to keep yourself away from being infected. Let it be a kind of practice, consciously, unconsciously.
Now.
So meaning that, or greeting an elderly, you are more or less accompanying their problem. So advocacy should go to that. Like, if you see your grandchildren not greeting you, don't take it that, this or you want to come in cane another form. But take it that
these children are spoiled now, they don't know how to greet.
It's just to keep you alive. It's only when you are alive that you can.
Before I bring Pascal in, talk to us from the window of communication, because it seems that is part of the core of the issue right now. I was speaking with Pascal yesterday. He mentioned the issue of trust, the inadequate trust between what the government is saying and what the people believe. Whether the government is saying the right thing, because of so many things happening, people don't have the confidence in sometimes some of the messages that come out. Talk to us from that window. How do we really connect to the people? Like you gave us an example of your messages to Gambians and they adhere to it. How do we send this message to Nigerians so they can adhere to it?
I won't go far. You are known as a specialist, an expert in media and communication. Same thing, let me use our Commissioner of Health in Lagos State.
Okay.
He's a man of his word. There's something we call talking what you're saying, transformational leadership. This man displayed it. So if he said, don't go out, you won't go out, because we've seen it. That what he says is what we see doing. Not the one that you just read about, the man that went away with pensioners' money. And now he finally fell sick.
Alleged. He has not been sentenced by the court. Yes, so he's alleged.
Leaders like that, people don't take them serious. So it is time for all our leaders to wake up to their challenge. It's a challenge staring them on their face. So you should be able to talk. In terms of communication, you go extra, not only communication, advocacy is a continuous process. In risk management, they don't joke with advocacy. Because whatever you said this morning, that's why you find out repeating things again and again. Because for any man to get anything done to themselves, you must have repeated that nothing less than 5 times or 8 times. So advocacy, advocacy, advocacy. And this is the time for the scientists. It's unfortunate that all our tertiary institutions are locked down. We have best brain that will have come out with ideas. During the initial ease of lockdown, we found out some young guys from Federal University of Technology, Ondo State, Akure. They came out with something like band that you can press and something will come out. Those are the brains. Where are they today? They are at home because of our leadership. I would have appreciated that this is the time for these students to come out with their innovations, with their knowledge to display. We should not live on the past history any longer.
Okay.
So communication should be a constant thing for people to get acquainted with what is happening around them.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, Shola. Now, Pascal, as we wind down gradually now, the issue of the second wave we have on our hands right now, is there anything differently that we should do as a people, considering the fact that, well, government is saying with the second variant coming from the UK, so Nigerians might want to come home, students and those who want to travel for business and all of that, that is likely, and they're considering whether to close the airspace or not. But we have our second wave with us here already. What more can we do?
Interestingly, what is happening in the UK, that variant is also in South Africa as we speak. And the relationship Nigeria has with South Africa and the UK both are huge and could translate to some unpleasant outcome if we don't handle this situation well. One of the things that we commend the Presidential Task Force, they have issued new guidelines. We also know that the National Identity Management, the NIM, they've relaxed or extended the period. So with the crowd we are seeing in those locations, we expect that that can potentially reduce. But there are some things that cannot be taken for granted. Do we have motivated health personnel that can rise up to this in the event that this number spikes again? And there have been reports of some who say they were not paid ad hoc personnel. Some say they were not given fair remuneration.
Or that didn't have PPEs?
Yeah, then PPE is critical because if with this ferocious stress, it is likely that more health workers will be more circumspect in getting involved. So have you deployed resources that would ensure in the event that this happens, we have enough PPE? Do we have resources to make sure that these people are also paid? Because one of them spoke to me over the weekend and said, we are risking our lives. Every day we are putting our lives down, but we are not being motivated or incentivized. So what are we doing about it? That's about from the government standpoint. And of course, I mentioned it yesterday that there is an urgent need to have the isolation centers back on track, the public testing centers to be reinforced in capacity expanded. But it's also very important that the people must recognize that you're not doing it for the government in staying safe. There was a report of a very prominent traditional ruler that died in the South yesterday. And he had, from reports, he had an interaction with the general that died recently. So it is no longer fairy tale. It is happening around us.
It's reality.
And the ones that are reported, it is important we take this away. The ones that are reported is when it concerns public figures. More Nigerians are also dying silently. So the last point that is also very critical is, in the event that some people are traveling from, flying from different parts of the country, the world, including the UK, how do we monitor? How do we ensure that those protocols for those who are coming to the country are maintained and that we track it? Because that is where the danger is. So the gatekeepers must wake up to it, and the private sector has to round up. The private sector, again, has a critical role to play.
Okay. Well, Health Emergency Initiative CEO Pascal Achunine, thank you so much for your time.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you very much. And thanks for the consciousness to keep safe. It's really interesting. And Shola Keti, the first Vice President of West African College of Nurses, we really appreciate you. Thank you very much. And thanks for your communication as well. We thank you for what you're doing for the West African sub-region. It's really interesting.
In fact, recently, we had 22 sessions, about 11 weeks.
Wow.
For all the nurses in the sub-region. July 28th, and we extended to October 12th, every week.
So
just
trying to create awareness amongst
and
nurses.
now we are at the cascading level.
Wow.
People are now into the community, using our personal money. We have the backup of WHO. then resort to save life.
If you're
And
using
that
your
really
personal
helping us.
money, what is the government commitment to all of
Well, for now, we find out that there should be a way of supporting government.
Okay.
Everything should not come from government.
That's a new initiative, isn't it?
Everything should
That's
not come
amazing.
from government.
Complementary, yes.
They go ahead to give sanitizer, face masks, giving health talk, checking people with their primary
All right.
indices.
We have to
That's
round it
really
off here
help.
now. I like that idea. This is the time to support government.
Yeah.
Thank you so much
Being
for
part of the
support.
solution. Being part of the solution.
All right. Thank you so much.